Hey everyone, welcome to my podcast, The Lucid Dreamers. I'm Rajat Kumar, and in today's episode, we'll be talking about something which, in my experience, is one of the most essential tools in peaceful living and prolonged survival. I call it the virtue of being. But before we dive deep into it, let's address the elephant in my room, your neighbor's room, my neighbor's room, everybody's room, the entire world's room, this pandemic that is the COVID 19. Originally hailing from a cheap experimental lab somewhere in China, this virus has made the entire world its captive. What is happening here in India is especially horrid and ridiculous. With every day, we have seen incompetence and ignorance reach new levels. I hope and pray that everyone who has lost someone near and dear to them find peace and strength, and request everyone to follow all the guidelines that are laid down by the government. Please wear a mask. Please leave your home only if it is immensely essential. And please get vaccinated. Right. With each episode, what I'm going to do is that I'll suggest a book that I read, or a film, or a TV show that I saw, and y'all can check it out and maybe let me know if you liked it or didn't like it, or what you thought worked for it or didn't work for it. And maybe you all can recommend that something that you liked or something that you read and is worth sharing, and I'll talk about it in my podcast. Right. So the book that I want to talk about with you all is called The Dark Matter. Not The Dark Matter, it's called Dark Matter. And it is written by William Blake Crouch, or also known as Blake Crouch. This book is a science fiction thriller suspense. If you're like science fiction, then I'm sure you guys will love this, because at the end of the day, this book also has a lot of heart in it. It also asks a lot of philosophical questions. One of the most important questions that this book asks is, are you happy in your life? Right? It questions you about all the decisions and the choices that you've made in life, and below it, the core of it, is a love story between a husband and his wife. There's a lot of longing, there's a lot of waiting, and there's a lot of dimensions, and there's a lot of action in the book, and it will keep you engaged throughout the time you read it. And trust me, if you are a proper reader, you may just finish this book in a day. So I recommend Dark Matter. Please check it out. You can buy it online, or you can find it on pdftribe.com and probably finish in a day. And do let me know if you like it or not. The film that I want to suggest you all is called The Meyerowitz Stories. It is on Netflix and directed by Noah Baumbach. Guys, Noah Baumbach is the guy who made Marriage Story in 2019, which got a ridiculous amount of attention and Oscar nomination, and was a phenomenal film. And also, so is Meyerowitz Stories. It stars Adam Sandler, not the Adam Sandler from all those cheesy films, but the Adam Sandler from Punch Drunk Love, or the Uncut Gems, or the real Adam Sandler, the actor Adam Sandler, and Ben Stiller, and obviously Dustin Hoffman, who plays the father, Elizabeth Marvel, and Emma Thompson. It is a brilliant drama that follows a group of dysfunctional adult siblings who try to live in the shadow of their father. It talks about the virtue of adulthood, and living in a family and adjusting in a family while you're an adult. And there's a lot of comedy in it, there's a lot of heart in it, and there's a lot of love. And I definitely recommend you to watch it, and it is on Netflix. Go ahead and watch it. There's also this brilliant comedy show called Family Business on Netflix. It is about a Paris family who decide to turn their declining kosher butcher shop into the first French marijuana coffee shop. And they're already there. You already have two seasons of that show on Netflix. It is a French show, majorly spoken in French, but you can, if you like watching different language shows and reading subtitles, this show is for you. And again, it has got 100% reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. It is directed by Igor Gotsman, and the entire cast is just fabulous with the performances and with the execution. Again, there's a lot of heart in it. Again, it is about a family that learns how to stick together. So, guys, two of the shows, the film and the shows that I've recommended you all, is about families, because this is pandemic. We are in the middle of a pandemic, and we have to learn to stick together as a family. We may have traveled around the world, and we may have learned to live alone and master the art of living alone and being independent. But sometimes the opposite may be difficult. Sometimes we may find ourselves in a situation where we are living in a family and we just don't know how to comply. So maybe watching these shows and these films may help you bond better with your family, or maybe understand the importance of having a family. So yeah, go ahead. Please watch the film, the Meyerowitz stories, the show called Family Business, both on Netflix, and read the book called Dark Matter. And do let me know if you like it or not. Right. Now, coming back to the episode, Virtue of Being. Guys, I recorded the episode last night, and let me tell you, it was a tough nut to crack. I just went on rambling and rambling and rambling for about an hour and a half or 2 hours, and I just didn't know what part to cut or how to make it small. And it's just a one man show, so I didn't want it to be a snooze fest where you guys are sitting and listening for 45 minutes or an hour, and I don't know what not. So, what I did was I wrote my stuff down. I channeled all my thoughts, and recently I started uh, doing self journaling or writing a journal for myself, and it is an extremely personal thing for me, and it has helped me a lot. Although I've been doing it for a really short period of time, and I hope that I continue it till the day I die. Honestly, and it has helped me gain a perspective in life. It has helped me channelize my frustrations and my insecurities and my doubts and my thoughts and also the good thoughts. It has helped me to channelize all of them into a book, into my diary, and into my journal. And it has helped me remain calm and be in the moment. There are so many television shows and books and speakers and guest speakers and whatnot. So many people who talk about how to live in the moment, how to be in the present. There's so many mythological books. There are gurus who talk about it, and there's nothing different that I'll say. I'll just talk about my experience, and I hope that if you listen to my experience, I hope it makes a difference. And it's not a sad story, it's not a sob story, and there's no moral or except I mean there is a moral, and it's not like there's no moral, but it is just an observation that I made throughout my life, and at this point of time in my life where I am as a human being, as an actor, or as a person in the society. These are the observations that I have made, and please listen to it. And I don't know if you all agree to it or not, but I would like to know your opinion. So don't hesitate to DM me if you have any questions, or if there's something that you don't agree to, and I would be more than happy to answer your questions. So sit back, relax. It's a small podcast, and it's just me for today, and listen to it. If you like it, give me a thumbs up, share it with your friends. You can share, you can give me a shout out on Instagram, and also on Twitter. The Instagram and Twitter handle information is provided later in the episode. And yeah, enjoy listening. When I was growing up, or when I was young, almost every person who got acquainted to me or were friends with me, or even my cousins, my relatives, my uncle, auntie, dada, dadi, poopa, chacha, all of them, they all had one universal question for me. बड़े होके क्या बनना है? Or what do you want to do when you grow up? My answer to all these questions varied from time to time. They were more colorful while I was young. They ranged from a doctor, an astronaut, pilot, race car driver, all the way to a chartered accountant or an MBA as I grew up. My answers, or the answers of people around me, changed with age, awareness, and most of all, according to me, of course, fear. The fear of numbers drove one friend of mine to pursue arts. The fear of failing physics drove me to choose commerce. The fear of disapproval from parents forced my friend, who was a very talented fast bowler, to get into engineering. Guys, nobody wants to fail or to be tagged as a failure in society where everyone around seems to have figured out who they want to be. Your parents don't want you to fail either because deep down, sometimes they don't want to be labeled as failure themselves. Failing to raise a kid in Indian society can be mind altering. At any point of time, there are at least a million people around you trying to get a slice from your cake. It is impossible sometimes to not be influenced by relatives, friends, or even random neighbors. Even our parents want to be secure, knowing that they did what they could to the best of their abilities. Again, the driving force behind this is fear. Fear of failing, fear of lagging behind, fear of being alone amongst the crowd. Guys, our human condition is such that we constantly have this need to be reassured, if not validated. All this is emotional. We need the emotional reassurance, sometimes physical as well. The validation could be from ourselves or from our families or the community. In retrospect, the question that I could have asked myself or the people around me could have asked themselves was, who am I? Rather than who I wanted to be. This obsession with future self nullified the importance of our present selves. Only the things or people that aided me to accomplish my future selves were important. The rest weren't so meaningful. Any action that was not contributing to my future self was useless. Why? Why was it so important to succeed in a professional world which couldn't guarantee mindfulness or even peace? I believe it was fear again. The fear of failing, the fear of being lonely and an outcast. Nobody wants that. You see, guys, our society has been devised in such a way that we are made to believe that we are obligated to run at its pace. And if you're not ready to deal with it, then you're an outcast. What this does is that it creates a false image of purpose in our minds and an idea that is the product of time and situation around you rather than your own reckoning. The fear clouds our judgment making abilities, and we start looking for options that are relatively less challenging and will result in mediocre living. Before one could even attempt to deconstruct this psyche of mediocre living, they find themselves neck deep in the shit pile, trying to survive and keeping their nose high or nose out of it so that they can breathe. I'm not saying that this is everybody's story, but a lot of y'all may have experienced this at some point of time in life. The degree or level of experiences may vary from person to person depending upon their surroundings and people who influence them, but the core of it remains the same. I'm not saying that everybody should leave their jobs and pursue their passion. All I'm saying is that we all have a purpose and we all have a calling, and it is our moral duty to find out what it is. Some may have known it all their life. For some, it may take another lifetime to get to it. But we do owe it to ourselves and to the life that we have been given on this beautiful, beautiful planet. The idea is to accept that fear is not going anywhere. It is not going to vanish magically without a trace, but it is us who have to learn to live with it and use it for the better and not get intimidated by it. Think about it, guys. That way, it would help us keep our feet grounded while our minds are soaring high. I was recently talking to my mother about all of this, and she made a much valid point at the end of our conversation. She said, and I quote, when we are young, we live in the future, and once we start getting older, we look to the past to give us comfort. She also added that when the kids are young, the parents and the society can't wait for them to grow up. But once they grow up, we revert back to childhood memories. But more often than not, a lot of us tend to ignore the present. I bet a lot of you all will agree to it. And even if you don't, it's okay because all human beings are unique in their own way. With each passing day, I try to live in the present and make the most of it. More often than not, I fail in my pursuit, but I try to keep records of where I lost track so that I don't repeat the same mistakes again. Guys, I've found self journaling to be of immense help. It gives me the opportunity to channelize all my collective thoughts and weed out the unnecessary ones. It sometimes also helps to ask ourselves, how am I feeling in this very moment? Yes, I do this out loud, guys. I whenever I feel that I'm lost in thoughts or I'm lost in social media, and it is like a loop. You think of one thing, and then you think of another thing, and then before you realize you're deep in this ocean of thoughts, and you've lost what, like an hour or like more than that. So what I do is I just come back to present and I ask myself, how am I feeling? If I'm happy, I just smile or I say it out loud. Sometimes I say it to myself. Sometimes I write it down. I do this a lot of times while I'm driving because I tend to get lost in thoughts while I'm driving. It's easy to focus on the road subconsciously and think about all the things that come to your mind. Sometimes I do this while I'm trying to sleep because when you're on the bed alone at night, all these thoughts circle around your head and you find yourself lost in them. I also do this while I'm trying to focus on something because it is kind of a defense mechanism that if you want to do something really badly, if you really want to do something, there's this defense mechanism in your body that tries to pull you away from it because it is scared. The baby inside you is scared that you might not do it as well as you want to do it. So at that very moment, I ask myself, how am I feeling in this moment? And trust me, the answer that comes out more often than not is honest. Sometimes to get in the present moment, I use my senses. I use the sense of smell. I smell the wind, the air, the breeze that is coming through from my window. It smells of the fish that is being sold somewhere far across, the traffic, the pollution. I like to listen to the birds that are chirping outside. I feel the sun coming onto my skin, the heat from the sun. Sometimes I just touch the wall of my house. I smell the wall. I actually, it may sound weird, but I smell the wall because it reminds me that this is my room and this is where I am in this moment. And again, before you know, you're refreshed and you're in the moment. And that's how you try to focus. These are, you can call them hacks, but there are much more better and pro versions of it, like meditating and mindful breathing and all of that. For those who can't do that, do them. Maybe try this. Maybe try just feeling the breeze on your skin. Maybe try touching the tile. Maybe try tile of your floor, of course. Maybe try touching the wall. Maybe try, go in the kitchen and see how the kitchen smells, how the fridge smells, all the smells of different food in the fridge. Try different things and try opening new horizons in the brain. It may help or it may not. But if it does or if it doesn't, do let me know. Guys, we live in a society where there is information overload and we are governed. I believe we are governed by this beast called as social media. I really, really think, I really, really believe that it is important to control it and not let it control us. The idea is to control the controllables and save yourself or protect yourself from getting lost in the big ocean of people and accounts and different handles and all kinds of information out there. I also believe, I genuinely believe in this, that we need to and we should learn to differentiate between our actions that are done on a conscious level or on a subconscious level. We need to learn to differentiate between them. Why am I using Instagram? Is my Instagram a means to create a different persona about myself that will make people like me? Is it a tool for me to get reassurance from my friends or my loved ones? Or is it just a place where I express myself? There are people who who don't express themselves while talking to other people or at work, but Instagram may be that platform for them where they like to show that side of themselves that they love more. So it is important and it is imperative for us to learn to differentiate between that. I'm not saying which is right and which is wrong. We all are very well aware to differentiate between that. So that is not my concern or my business. All I mean to say is that we should know why we are doing what we are doing. And with that, I wrap up my first episode and I hope that it made some sense to you all. And in some way or the other, it opened new doors leading to new possibilities. Feel free to share your wisdom with me on Instagram and Twitter, guys. My handle is at Rajat Kumar underscore triple five on Instagram and Twitter. Rajat Kumar, RAJATKUMAR underscore triple five. And guys, please remember to wear your masks before you head out of the house, and only head out of the house if you really, really need to. Please respect everything that is going on outside. Please respect the deaths of the people and the helplessness of everybody out there, and contribute as much as you can, as less or as more as you can. That depends upon you. But do contribute if it is in your reach. That's it from me, folks. I'll come back with a new episode and hopefully the first guest of this season. And it's going to be a cracker jack of an episode, which I can guarantee you. And stay home, stay safe. Cheers.